There's something kind of neat. It's sunny. My batteries went down to 60% last night. I have them to cut off at 60. I keep lowering it because the way I see it, if I can get back up to 100 every day, why not use the batteries through the night and get some return on my investment? I'm pulling in 5.1 kilowatts off the solar array, and I'm using 4.3 kilowatts. Right now I have the dryer drying clothes. I have the dishwasher. It's on sanitize mode. I have the crock pot on high, and I have my 2 mini splits running along with a computer. I have a server. I have some backup power supplies and some other equipment. So really running off the grid right now. So I had a question about how my critical load panel is set up. Essentially, I have main grid power coming in to the Solark, and if I don't have power, if I don't have batteries, it's just going to pass it through the Solark back to my critical load panel. That's these smaller, I think they're, what are they, 6 gauge or something. Now if I do have power like I do now, it's going to send power to my critical load panel, which it's doing right now. Now if I have enough power like I do right now, it's going to send it back through the grid. It's not going to go through the meter. I have those current clamps on the meter, and that's always going to tell it to pull, you know, like maybe 10 or 15, 20 watts off the grid so I don't sell back accidentally. So all the power that I'm sending back to the grid goes to the rest of my circuits in my house. Nice sunny day. We have full sun to the solar panels right now. And the dishwasher's running, and we know that because it shoots a little red dot on the floor when it's running. I have it on sanitize mode. And the crock pot's on high. That's starting to steam up. My mini split there is running, and so is the one in the bedroom, the ducted unit. That's split between the bedrooms right there. It's under in the basement. And the dryer's running. It's been running for I think an hour and 20 minutes. So glad I checked on it because it's about done. Okay, I'm a nerd, so I have some computer equipment running here. That's always on 24/7. I also forgot that I have a air handler unit running 24/7, circulating air through the house, bringing fresh air in. Anyway, I'm not ashamed of this wiring because it is a mess on purpose. I left all the wires long because I wasn't sure which wires I was going to pull and move over to the critical load panel or vice versa, okay? So that's why it looks this way. These are the 3 wires you saw coming out of the inverter in the barn. This is my critical load panel, so if the power goes out and I'm running off batteries, we're going to send power to this panel only. I have my mini splits, I got some lights, I got the well pump and the stump pumps on that. However, when I have excess power, like I mentioned, the inverter will also send power back to the grid, kind of. It'll send as much power as I need to the rest of the house, and that comes back in here and powers the rest of my circuits. So that's kind of how that's set up. Obviously I want to clean this up and make it look nicer. So anyway, that's kind of how the Solark in grid tied mode works. I still need to kill the power to my house completely from the grid to make sure all these circuits still run. I think I'm going to pull a couple more circuits and bring them over here. It doesn't mean I have to run them, but it'll be nice to have them. Like maybe more ceiling lights, maybe even the microwave. All right, there you have it. It's my house. I have a breaker box, your standard, you know, shore power, grid power breaker box. And then I have another one that is critical loads. Okay, and then in my barn I have my Solark. That's my inverter. And off the Solark, I have an array of solar panels. I also have a battery bank. Does that look like a battery? That's plus, that's minus. So the battery feeds into the Solark, the array feeds into the Solark, and the Solark feeds into my critical load panel. Now for grid power from the power company, that comes in and it goes into my normal breaker box. It also feeds into the Solark. So on a nice bright sunny day, or if I'm running off the batteries, the Solark will not consume grid power. It will power my critical load panel. And if I have excess power, it will send it back, but it will go back to my other breaker box. And I do not want to sell back to the grid. So how do I do that? Well, do you remember I put on some current sensors around the mains? So the current sensors will sense and make sure I'm always pulling at least, I don't know, 10 to 40 watts off the grid, and I'll never sell back. And the reason I do that is because I don't have a net metering agreement. I don't have a bidirectional meter. My new meter on my property is digital. And as I understand it, if I were to sell back with this meter, it would continue to count upwards and I would get charged for my own power generation. Thanks for watching.